Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, as per your respective time zone. So, hello, everyone. Good morning again, good afternoon, as per your respective time zone. We'd like to welcome you all on behalf of entire Evosys Managed Services team to our 21C HR Help Desk and ORC Advisory webinar session. This important session is to keep you fully synchronized with new features and functionalities as part of this quarterly release, which Oracle provides. My name is Hardik Patel, and I'm an operations manager here at Evosys Managed Services. Today, I'm your host for this session, and I'm glad to introduce my colleague, Adib Gandhi, who is part of our HCM consulting team. During his tenure, he has worked on implementation and managed services projects as well. Today, he will take us through all the HR Help Desk and ORC updates for the 21C quarter release. Today's session is planned for approx an hour, and we'll make sure that we also leave some time to answer all your questions you may have. Moving forward, let's talk about our agendas. What do we have it on our plate? So, we would like to convey you an approach towards the Oracle updates in a very simpler method. We will be taking you through vital analysis for the 21C updates done by our experts, which will help you incorporating new features and updates easily into your system. Also, we'll be syncing you through on any bugs or known issues if there are any. We'll be sharing some activities which are covered by Evosys Next-Gen Managed Services team. After that, we'll have a closing note along with a Q&A session. And we would like to have this session to be interactive and fruitful. So please do ask questions through chat or question panel, and we'll be happy to answer all of them by the end of this session. In case if we ever run out of time, we'll also make sure that we get back to you with an answer. So let's begin. First of all, whoever has joined late, really appreciate for sparing time for this important session. And thank you very much again. And now I will be handing over this to my colleague. But before that, I would like to tell you that how we are going to present today's session to you. So we have a list of new features coming into 21C. We will be discussing that. Also, the detailing on these features, so you get a brief understanding on what new features are all about. Next one is, what is the business benefit and what are the important key takeaways for you as a decision maker? There are 4 important components where we have done in-depth analysis of features which we are going to present to you today. The first one is impact level analysis, which demonstrates the impact on the end user. If it has a low impact, then whether regression testing can be avoided or not. If it's a high impact, then we must opt for regression testing. As we all are aware that there are some features which are by default auto-enabled by Oracle, and there are some which we need to opt for. We'll be also covering that as well. And the third one highlights the nature of each feature. There would be certain configuration which may be required, or some can be used without any changes right away. So that will also be covered. And the last one, the term which we use is a quick win at Evosys. This term we used to simply convey that what is ready to use by investing a minimum amount of time, and what requires a significant amount of time and effort to make this feature live on your system. So we'll be taking you through entire journey now. So I've got my colleague Adib. I'm now going to hand it over to him, and he'll take you through the further session. Over to you, Adib.
Thank you, Hardik, for the introduction. So today we'll begin with the latest releases of Oracle in 21C of HR Help Desk and ORC. So we'll first start with the analysis that we have done for HR Help Desk and ORC. So as per the analysis, we have 21 new features that are there in HR Help Desk and ORC, out of which we have classified 19 as the quick win and 2 as the rest. So when we say quick win, it means that it requires no configuration or minimal configuration. So we'll start with the first set of new features, which is quick wins, default with no configuration. That is, which requires no configuration at all. It is a direct usage. The first feature is about the candidate experience, skill improvement. So this is the enhancement of the candidate experience that Oracle has come up with. So previously, the candidate needs to re-authenticate every time when they were on the career side, signing up for talent community, looking at the job application status, or withdrawing the job application. So in 21C, Oracle has come up with something very similar like the other application we see, LinkedIn, Facebook, where there is an option of keeping them signed in throughout the session. So by checking that box in the career side, the candidate would be directly able to apply on the app, directly able to view the job applications, sign up for talent community, and also they will be able to withdraw the application without re-authenticating multiple times. So this will help them in enhancing the user experience. So the only time the candidate would be asked for a verification would be when they will be applying for a job. At that point of time, they need to authenticate. Otherwise, the candidate would be keep signed in throughout the session. So this will have a greater business benefit in terms of enhancing the candidate experience in the career side. The next feature, which is about information related to the disabled communication channels. So this feature is very related to the first one. So here in this feature, the candidate would be displayed the tooltip for the disabled communication. So previously the candidate might be confused because of they were not able to enter the data or the details in this disabled communication. So they were confused in that. So in 21C release, Oracle has informed them, just keeping the note about the field stating that this field is locked for you. You can move ahead without filling in the details for this. So again, this feature will be very much helpful in terms of giving them information related to the field and enhancing the user experience. We have the next feature as contact information block in talent community flow. So now in 21C release, contact information block will always be visible in the talent community flow. Previously, it was the configuration that we need to do every time for the talent community flow, but this time it will be always seen over there to increase and enhance the user experience in the career side. So as if the only block which is there in the talent community is contact information, then the candidate would avoid clicking on that show more option, which was appearing at the bottom of the screen. And also considering the usage of it, the profile import option, which was there previously, would be moved above the contact information block, so as to build context on that and give more user experience. This information will again streamline the talent community flow for the candidates. And this is a very quick win for them because this will be a great enhancement for the candidate. The next feature is about the ex workers can now add national identifiers and date of birth. So if the ex workers, if we say the ex workers such as ex employees, ex contingent workers, or contingent workers, which we classified to treat them as external candidate, will now be able to add their national identifiers and date of birth when they apply for a job. So if the national identifier is expired, they can now add a new one when they are applying for a job. And also if not added previously, they can add their date of birth in the profile. So this will give ex workers a chance to modify their details and also add their national identifier if it is expired. So this will again be a business benefit in terms of ex worker putting down their real information when they are applying for a job. This is a very good feature coming up in 21C, which is more of displaying the banners for the job approval. So previously we have seen when the recruiter would submit the job offer, At that point of time, they would only have a confirmation dialog box coming up, which would say your job offer has been submitted. And then the status would be appearing in the status block, which would say approval in pending or approved or like that. But now in this release 21C, Oracle has come up with that all the job offer initiators, approvers, and observers would now be able to track the approval of the job offer right by seeing at the top of the page, which is there would be a banner which would say approval in progress, and they would be able to know that this job offer has been sent for an approval. And for further details, if they want to drill down and see where the approval sits right there, they will click on the link, which will then redirect them to a full view about the approvals. And also the advantage would be if they are an approver from the list, they would be able to approve or reject the job offer application right from there. And also there would be an ability for them to withdraw the job offer. So there are a couple of scenarios which are identified when the banner would be displayed. So it would be when the offer is submitted for the approval, when the offer is in progress, or when there is a request more information coming from the approver end or the initiator end. In order to view this banner, I think this is the standard privilege that would be there, which is view job offer privilege should be there, and view candidate job application, which is a recruiter would be having these two. So this will be giving a great business benefit in terms of user would be able to know their job offer standing position in the approval flow, and accordingly they would need, if required, they can take any appropriate action during that approval process. The next feature is again about very similar to the first one. In this, there is an enhancement to the job to the banner part, in which the banner would also be displayed when you are extending the offer to the candidate. So if there is any issue or error faced during that time, that error message would also be displayed in the banner part. As you can see on the screen, we have an error which is displayed in the banner part. So this will enhance create a great experience to the recruiter in terms of by looking at the job offer, they can identify the error or the error message that is being displayed. So, and also these banners are also displayed in the job application details page and also the offer tabs. So there are like two different places where you can also view this job offer approval banner. The privileges are also the standard ones. One who has the standard privileges would be able to see that, like the recruiter would be able to see all these job banners. This is again an advantage to the recruiter, that they would be able to know the job offer standing position in the offer phase. This is an enhancement to the job offer in terms of now a delayed compensation could be added in the job offer part. So while submitting a job offer or while creating a job offer, there is a other compensation section where they have included a start field now. So using the start field, normally what an organization plans is the compensation start date would at times be the same as the projected hire date. But in case if some of the allowances or some of the compensation are offered to the candidate after their joining date, that also can be achievable now. So you can have a compensation start date which is a part of individual compensation plan. You can have that at a later date than the projected hire date. So this will allow you to put the real dates in while creating the job offer, and it will create clear visibility between you, the organization, and the candidate. So this feature is mostly will be used to sync the start dates of the compensation plan with the projected hire date, or it can be at a later part of the projected hire date. The next feature is very useful for the organization who have frequent changes in their positions or who have temporary assignments running in the organization very frequently. So now in 21C, we have that while creating the job offer, and if there is an internal candidate, so there will be a create assignment section. Under that, if they go under the action, they will find a new list of value there state naming temporary assignment. So when they click on this temporary assignment, and once the candidate accept the offer and it is moved to the HR part, at that point of time, this will be classified as a temporary assignment on the screen. And also the fields, which is the field which is on the assignment page, which is permanent and temporary, automatically it will be put down as temporary over there. So this will ease the work of the HR in terms of reporting. They can directly report on that, and also it will save time in terms of adding the field once again after they have converted the candidate to the HR part. So this will be helping the business in terms of managing all the short-term internal opportunities, which is of great use for the organization that have frequent transfers happen. Looking at the next feature, it is the most awaited one. So now while navigating to the position screen, we will be able to see the job requisitions. So now as an HR, we will be able to see the positions, and on the same screen, all the job requisitions which we have created for that specific positions would be displayed. Although it will still secure the requisition by the security profiles that are assigned to the HR. And also it will only show the active number of job requisition on the screen. So this is a good enhancement in terms of viewing the job requisition on the same screen of position, on the position screen itself, instead of switching the screens between the position and the job requisition. And also there will be an option of navigating to view the details of the job requisition simply by clicking on the job requisition name. So this will give a quicker idea to the HR about the vacant FTE and the total FTE that they have defined for the position. This is a feature of HR Help Desk in which Oracle has introduced a new screen altogether for the users to view all the notifications that they have followed. So to follow a service request, normally we need to navigate to the service request details page, and then we select the follow functionality from that menu. So now all the service requests that we have followed would now be appearing on the single screen. So that screen would be known as notification followed page, and it will be there under the set preferences user notification. We will be able to see that screen. So using the same screen, we'll now be able to classify which are the relevant SRs service requests that we want to unfollow. And we can just simply click on that as we don't unfollow, and that will immediately reflect it. So no need to go again to the service request page and then click on actions and then to unfollow multiple SRs by navigating to each SR every time. We have the single screen now, and through that we will be able to unfollow any of the SR that we want. So this feature is again providing a business benefit in terms of providing users with greater responsibility, and they will be able to get a single view of all the SRs for which they are following. This feature will help the agent in terms of resolving the service request and improving the outcomes. So this is create and view relationship between service requests. So when a service request would be raised, the agent would already know that if any service request related to that type is already raised before, so they can directly link that service request to the newer one, and using that they will be able to improve the time in terms of resolving the issues, or they will be able to relate it much better in these terms. So this will help the agent to improve the efficiency, and also it will have impact in the resolution outcomes. Although this feature will also use the already existing features, which is the action and the action plans. Using that, you will be able to link a service request to another one. So we have till now looked about the quick wins that were default with no configuration. Now we will be looking about the quick wins that requires minimal configurations, and we will be able to use that. So the first one is defining the security policies based on the system access groups. So now Oracle has introduced this, that now you can use the system access group and predefined rules for security purpose, and this will enhance the security of the HR help desk module in terms of you giving custom criteria and predefined objects. So normally what happens is Oracle comes up with predefined object sharing rules, which is assigned to every system groups. And this system groups is also the system groups also has the same access to the service request data as that of the standard job role. So using this, you can have a very specified security created for your service request. But normally this requires some amount of configuration because all the rules that Oracle is providing are inactive by default. So this will give an alternate way to manage a user service request data. The next feature is about setting up the visibility of the channel type for internal conversation. So normally it is organization-wide policies that some of the channels which needs to be secured when an agent forwards a service request to another user. So in that regards, we have a functionality now in place that we will be able to by default select that this channel should not be included in the SR when the agent forwards it to another user. So using this functionality, now we can disable the channels that we want to hide, and the agent would be not worrying about the details of the channel. They can just forward the SR without worrying about it. And that would give a better visibility to the user in terms of they knowing the issue exactly. This has a business benefit in terms of disabling the channel types that we don't want to show up when we're forwarding an SR. So as to create more visibility over it. So now we will look about the third section, which is new features, quick wins, and opt-ins. So this feature also requires V to enable it and also requires some minimal amount of configurations. So the first one from the section is responsibilities and qualification in job requisition. So this is a very good feature in terms of we segregating the data for the jobs. So normally what happened previously was in the posting description section, we were putting down headers and labels in that, stating the responsibilities and qualifications. So instead of that, now Oracle has come up with a different sections altogether under the same posting description area. So now we have internal responsibilities for internal candidates and qualifications for internal candidates. So now we can easily define the responsibilities that requires for the job application, job requisition, and also the qualification that are required for the job applications. So using these two sections, the candidate would have a clear idea about the job and the roles and responsibilities they are going into it. And similarly, this responsibilities and qualifications can also be further segregated into internal responsibilities, internal qualification for internal candidate, and external responsibilities and qualification for external candidate. This requires some enablement using HCM Design Studio. We need to enable these sections, and once this section are enabled, it is ready to use. So this will have a business benefit in terms of the candidate would have much more visibility in terms of looking at the job application and then applying for it. The next feature is about the background check partner could now update the national identifiers. So now during the background verification process, using the portal, the partners can now add the national identifiers for the external users, such as external candidates, ex-employees, ex-contingent workers, and external contingent workers. So they will be able to add the national identifier details over there. And using these details will further be displayed on the candidate detail page under the sensitive information section. So as you can see on the screen, we have the sensitive information section. And in this section, we have the national identifiers which are provided by the background verification vendors. Also, these national identifiers could be updated by the candidate, or it could be updated by the recruiter based on the possibility. But if they are added, the recruiter would be able to see them under the sensitive information section of the candidate details. So this will give a much more flexible approach for the background verification vendors to give the national identifiers, to send the national identifiers to HCM, and then moving ahead, it will be visible to the recruiters in the sensitive information section. The next feature is about evaluating the resources that are following the service request. So normally this is a simple process that Oracle has introduced. By running this process, we will make sure that the notifications and the resources which are there are still valid and they are enabled for those who have followed the service request. So this service request will normally remove the invalid users from the following the service request, and it will also enhance the application performance overall. So it's just a simple process that will help the organization to remove the stale data from the and also increase the performance of the model. The next feature is very much related to the previous one. So here there is a process which will help the organization remove the stale notifications. So the employees the resources or the employees who have left the organization or are no longer active in the system, automatically this process will help in removing those preferences from them, and also they will be helping in improving the performance of the module and also ensure that the user preference data is not stale. The next feature is about optimizing sending emails in bulk. So this is a feature which they have enhanced. So using Groovy script and REST APIs, now the technical team would be able to send the emails in bulk without affecting the normal communication. So this feature is mostly useful when you have to say about shutdown of a particular system, or if you want to communicate to a specific sect of people at a specific time. So you will use this Groovy script and REST API, and using that, will now be able to send large volumes of email to these kind of people and without affecting the normal email communication. So again, this is a great benefit that our normal communication wouldn't be affected, and at the same time, communication would be sent to a large number of people. The next feature is about to override coverage time zone on a milestone using a service request time zone. So this feature would be very much useful for the organization who operates in multiple across globally. So who operates globally, they will have multiple time zones, and based on the time zones, they need to calculate their milestone. So normally in this 21C, there will be a field called as like service request time zone, which will be included in the service request details itself. So when the SR would be raised, there will be already mentioned, the user will already mention the service request time zone that for which it should be operated for. So using that service request time zone, the milestone would be calculated, and it would be also helpful and will be able to give clear visibility to the agent in terms of knowing about the milestone and the service and the time zone for which the user has raised an SR for. And also, if there are no time zone specified on the service request, the time zone specified in the coverage line would be used. So it is a field that is kept as optional for the users to when they are creating a service request. And also there is a possibility if they miss, the coverage line time zone would be used. So this will be very helpful to the customer across who have multiple time zones. And this will have a business benefit in terms of it will allow service request specific information to dictate which time zone the date is computed against. So it will calculate the milestone accordingly, and it will have greater visibility for the agents to resolve the issues. So the last section is about the REST features, which are not quick wins, which requires some amount of configuration, and also there are some tips and consideration that should be kept when we are using these features. So the first feature in that is about having required section during the job requisition creation. So normally it is seen that many clients are having a requirement of having something very specific to the hiring manager and the recruiter. So you can use HCM Design Studio, and there you have all the sections which are available. Using this section, you can easily identify what are the required section for your organization, and based on roles, what you need. According to your need, you can just put down over here required in the drop down. And also there is a section visible and not visible. So you can put down the configuration accordingly. And once that is done, it will be ready for the use. So again, this is very tricky in terms of if you are making a section required, you need to also make sure that the hiring manager should have access for that section. Because if they don't have the access for that required section, system will throw an error when they will save and close the job requisition. So this is there are some tips and consideration that we need to use when we are using this feature of ORC. So this will again make sure that the organization is very much able to give full functionality in terms of making some sections required, which are very mandatory for the organization. And also it will help the users to forcefully enter some of the details in that section. The next feature is about the autocomplete rule for offer on worker assignment. So normally autocomplete is a completely new feature coming in Oracle. So now we can also create an autocomplete rule for the assignment business object for during job offer creation. So also using this autocomplete feature, we will be able to compare the values of the job requisition and the job offer page. So for example, if we have something entered on the if we have entered a job on the job requisition page, we can set a rule that if this job is matching with the job offer assignment section, then it should only allow the recruiter to proceed to the job offer. Otherwise, it should throw an error. So we can create some rule of that specific time, and then it will give us the expected results. In order to enable this, we need to first raise a service request for autocomplete rule. And then once we have the access, we need to see some basic instruction on how the rules can be set up. And this will give more secureness in terms of it will prevent human errors that are happening while creating a job offer, because at times the job that is mentioned on the job requisition is missed when they are entered in the job offer part. So this will give a more prevent the human errors, and it will enhance the efficiency of the organization. So we have covered all the new features that we have analyzed. Now we'll look about the next generation managed service part, which is the innovation that we have done in Evosys. So when Evosys, we have developed a data masking automation tool. So what happened normally is after every P2T, we had the requirement that there should be a cloning happening every time. So what happens is normally the confidential data which are there in the production environment need not to be copied on the test and the dev instance. So if they are copied in the test and the dev instance, it will create a high risk of data breach, and also there might be chance that the emails would be sent when they are performing some testing or some upgrade test. So for these problem, we have developed a solution which is we have developed a tool which is called P2T masking tool to handle all such cases. The principles that we have followed for this tool is we have designed scalability, reusability, and accuracy, and also it is very easy to use. So also we have kept in mind that it's just a click of button and it will consider all the aspects of the data masking that can, and also it will be secured. It will be very helpful in terms of it will normally what happens is the normal P2T takes around 4 to 5 days, which can now be reduced to 2 to 3 hours with this tool, with zero human intervention on the data. And also this is GDPR compliant. In this slide, we will see how the data masking tool works. So we have the option where we will select all the required objects that needs to be masked. So we have the capability to filter that, to filter what all are the information that we require for masking. Then we have the option to decide whether we want to simulate the run, that is preview how the data will look like. We have the option of running it directly, and also we have an option of scheduling to a later date or time. Once we decide how we can progress, we can click on the submit button and we can relax and have a coffee, and the system will be executed in the backend. The tool will mask the data, and once the process is completed, there will be a notification that this process has been completed successfully. How it is beneficial? So in terms of billing perspective, Oracle charges this after every P2T, it will be charged. But if we are using Evo P2T masking tool, it will be unlimited usage. The object support that Oracle covers are only personal information, wherein we have multiple options like personal information, emails, work phones. If we talk about the extensible perspective, it is Oracle doesn't support that, but we can extend if needed as per the client. Both are for GDPR, like Oracle also support that, we also support it. Upgrades is also supported by Oracle and Evosys masking tool. In terms of user friendly, we need to raise an SR in Oracle for this to be done. But if in our masking tool, it is do it yourself design. So you can just decide a day yourself and you can do it at any point of time. Normally the SLA is 3 to 4 weeks when we try to do this by Oracle. And Evosys masking tool will only take it 1 day to do this. In Oracle, if we want to include or exclude any data, that is not supported. But in Evo P2T masking tool, it is also supported, that if we want to exclude or include any data. Till now, we have implemented 4 projects using this. We have around 1 lakh records masked. Sorry, 10 lakh plus record mask, and current regions that we are using is UK and K. Thank you for listening, and I'm handing this over to Hardik.
Hi, welcome back. Just thank you, really appreciate for your continuous presence. So we'll be wrapping up very quickly in a few minutes now. So before we go ahead and move next, we would like to take a quick feedback from you. Did you find the presentation, the content or topics covered during the session relevant to what you're looking for? I'm just going to be launching the opinion poll, and I would like to get the answer in a yes or no. So if you can please rate it, it would be great help for us. So we'll be closing the poll and show you the result as well. Yeah, I'm just showing you the results now. So most of you have said yes. So we might have missed something, and we'll be more than happy to hear from you. so that we can improve it even better. So please do write your comments or feedback as well. So just gonna close it and move it to the closing part, closing note Q&A session. So is there any questions do we have? Let's see. No, not really. So the important thing is to keep you informed that you will receive a thank you email from us with the presentation and features released in the 21C along with the recording of this session. We'll be also sending you a feedback form using which you can give us the neutral feedback, and we'll be happy to hear it and improve it, and we can serve you even better next time onwards. And we'll be also sending you test scripts to test the new features which are released in the 21C quarterly updates. So that was about it, and really appreciate for your time and presence. So just would like you to rate us that how we did today on the scale of 1 to 5. That how was the overall experience during the session today? So if you can please rate us, it would be great. And if we have lacked something, we can definitely improve going forward. Yeah, thank you. Really appreciate for your feedback. And I'm just gonna show you the result as well very quickly. We received a few votes, and there's always a chance to improve, and we'll try our best to deliver you even better than we do now. So really appreciate, and let me just hide it. And so please do let us know. We'll be sending you this presentation along with the recording and also the feedback form. If you have any question, you can also reach out to your respective project managers, and you can write to us as well on the business@evosysglobal.com for any additional services around quarterly updates, or if you want to learn something about or want to know more about the innovation switch, Adeep explained it to you. So we'll be more than happy to connect on the masking tool or any subject which you need and more information on. So you can just reach to either by email or the respective project manager assigned to you. I'm repeating the email again, is business@evosysglobal.com. And these are listed on the right-hand side. You can see the next sessions from the human resource side and the supply chain as well. So you can pass it to your colleagues. If someone wants to register, we're more than happy to welcome them. Global human resource, talent management, workforce management, global payroll, they're all coming in the next couple of days' time. Benefits and compensation on 22nd as well. So please pass out the message to your colleagues, and if they can be part of it, we're happy. So again, so we'll wrap it up now, and really appreciate again for your presence today. And thank you very much again, all. Thank you. Really appreciate for your time. And we'll see you soon.